tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced and get happy with Dr. Marissa. And this show is about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have shows and topics.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days.
Monday, Tuesday,
Happy days.
Wednesday, Thursday,
Happy days.
Friday, whatever.
Happy days.
What a day.
I love you.
I love you too.
Best known as the mom from Happy Days, and she is a delightful 89-year young Marion Ross to my studio. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Dr. Marissa, this is such a treat for me.
Oh.
My goodness, you're a wonderment.
Which is exactly the kind of guest that I like. Those who have gone through life, good and bad, and then taken those experiences to alchemize them into the person they are now and doing good on the planet. I'd like you to welcome Corey Feldman.
If you're grateful for it and you say right away, thank you, God. Oh, my God, it's so beautiful. I'm so blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then guess what? More good things will come to you.
Does this sound familiar at all? She's back again to mark my Cancer Awareness and Prevention Month show. Please welcome Fran Drescher. Hi, Fran.
On and supporting cancer schmance. I really appreciate it.
So what would you say are some of the biggest myths, Fran, that people have about cancer?
Well, I would say that they think that there's a cure for it.
Okay.
Instead of a cause for it.
This is the first call-in show when I get to be Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. And people call in to get their life tires balanced and their critical thinking or their BS, their belief systems, smog checked. And today I am delighted to have Malie calling in from Birmingham, Alabama.
We could go 90 days and end up having terrible sex. And then you say, well, the relationship's not all about sex. Well, if I'm not getting great sex from you, then I'm going to get it from somebody else. Right?
That moose just got put on the table. And I see Josh and Jim.
I have to agree
You're
with Clyde.
both nodding. Ramon's sort of half nodding because his wife's listening. But
I understood what was going to happen if Muhammad Ali's youngest daughter, made public that I was going to become a boxer. So I wanted to make sure this was the path that I wanted to go down.
You are absolutely fabulous, beautiful inside and out. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award today.
Thank you.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic point.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Nah, I knew that was going to be
But I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. But I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans, they'd have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so
Okay,
I can
okay, come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome, you're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. The morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, NBC News Radio, CNBC, and NBC Sports Radio station, the station that leaves no listener behind, and home to the Asian Oprah. And it's also streaming on iTunes, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Audible, Tiki Live, Rumble, Audible, Amazon Music. It's definitely, I am starting to feel the effects of my late night week. Every year when the Newport Beach Film Festival is on, I am up late and up early, not complaining. But if I stumble or act like I'm drunk, I'm not. I did not drink last night. I haven't drank for 11 and a half years. But I think the candle burning at 8 ends is definitely taking its toll. But I'm so glad that you're here. And I am everywhere because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. Because this is a show, I don't like talking about even the things that are going on today that are not fun or not life celebrating to listen to. Some people accuse me of being Pollyanna. Yes, not polyamorous, but Pollyanna. I will admit to that because I definitely want you to focus on your own reality show. So we're not talking about who got divorced or who's sleeping with who. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show, your life, and how you can make it the happiest you can be. Because that's what I'm on, a Happy 88 mission. 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And I have topics and guests to that end. Let's see. We had a great week this week. I mean, we have a great week every week. But we had Don Most back on the show. You remember him as Ralph Malph. And just a little reminder, his first love is music and singing. He's right now trending up the charts on Heritage Chart, which is in the UK. So if you would go there, just Google Heritage Chart UK and vote for Don Most. And if you are a Grammy voting member, and I know I have a very diverse crowd of listeners and watchers, please do go vote for him in his category for New York High. And if you missed that show, all you need to do is free subscribe on my YouTube channel, which is only 35 people away from hitting 2,000 mark. Although the big number is the views. I am now at over 130,000 views, thanks to y'all. And I'm so delighted about that. And today, as you can see, I do have with me my co-host, and he doubles as a co-host. He's my sound engineer as well, so you get to see his face. He is my co-host for Thursday's special called Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Frank Pirolo.
Welcome back, Frank. He's no
Thank
longer
you.
new because he's already lost his virginity as a co-host on this particular show. Oh, he's like, why did I agree to do this again? Oh my goodness. Troy is just a fabulous cashew gallery. I'm going to name you. You and Orville and Maria are the team captains of my cashew gallery, my play on peanut gallery. If you are driving, please do not try to chat with us. But once you land wherever you're going, please do go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe, and you can chat there. You can also chat on my Facebook and my LinkedIn. And someone told the other day, you're taking away from your YouTube numbers by doing that. It's like, you know what? Again, numbers are nice, but as much as I could make myself accessible in my drinking of Kool-Aid, of positive things about you and your life, then I really so that Anyways, yes, Troy is saying vote for Don Most every week for that heritage chart. And I am gonna let's do breakfast, right? Starting taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich for breakfast, and it is a discipline that I started on this show about a year ago. We're now at 11 and a half or 11.7 years old, and every year I try to do something new to keep you on your toes and to exercise your ability to be happy. So we're starting the day with gratitude. 8 specific things. Troy, you play along, that you are grateful for. One word only to make it fast. Here we go, because the topic's pretty big. I'm grateful for the Newport Beach Film Festival.
I'm grateful for skiing.
Ooh. I'm grateful for music.
Ooh.
That's yours. As a DJ.
I am grateful for my job.
I am grateful for my jobs.
I am grateful for my car.
Troy is grateful for martinis. I am grateful for one word. Awards. Last one.
I am grateful for...
Oh, he beat you to it, Troy. He said my wife. So happy wife, happy life. Thank you, Troy, for playing. You just fulfilled our 8 gratitudes very quickly. We're going to go to the bottom of the button. This is something you do before you go to bed, but I'm not here before you go to bed, or I hope I'm not. I want you to think about 8 things that you like about yourself so that before you go to bed, instead of doing MS, BS scrolling, meaningless BS scrolling, and getting all hot and bothered about what someone's saying about someone, I want you to think about what you're saying about yourself, how much you value yourself, because that, to me, is the hallmark of good mental health. So here we go. I appreciate that I am articulate.
I appreciate that I am creative.
Troy. I appreciate that I am funny.
I appreciate that I am...
I appreciate I'm naughty. You snooze, you lose.
I appreciate that I'm fun.
You appreciate that what?
That I'm fun.
Oh, you're fun. Absolutely. I appreciate that I am expanding, not weight-wise, but mentally. That's more than one word. Sorry. Your turn.
I appreciate that I am... Ooh.
Troy just jumped in there. He appreciates his wisdom. He's saving your appreciations there. You're gonna have to thank him. And that is it for having breakfast with us this morning on Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Frank Pirolo.
You are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm using a gift balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show where we also have great peanut cashew gallery people that come in, and we'd love to have you join us. Troy will navigate you on what's been going on as we continue this fabulous show that I started May 1st, 2011. 598 consecutive weeks ago. But thanks for having breakfast with us. And I promise that if you do this 28 consecutive days, you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. And I missed a very, very, very important gratitude, but I'll just spotlight it before we get into our topic. Today's a very special day. Especially in the Chinese culture, because when your children have birthdays, specifically your daughters, you celebrate the mama. So I am so proud and honored to wish my younger daughter, my best little girl in the whole wide world, Sarah Way Carpenter. She is turning 24 today. I hope it's 24. Otherwise, I'm SOL. But this is for you, sweetheart. Happy birthday, dear Sarah Way. You are my heart. I love you so much. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, sweetheart. I wish you all the love, all the joy, all the harmony, all the great relationships, all the comfort that life can bring to you. And I love you. This is what I used to do with them when I was little, and I still do it. I love you dearly. So that's my daughter. I will try to find a photo to flash up here. I was a little late this morning with the Newport Beach Film Festival Mexican Showcase. I actually got to meet Captain Kirk again. I'll try to I'm showing that on my social media today, but yes, he go watch his film I Am Bill or Bill something. It is a beautiful capture of his life and his philosophy. I actually shared a stage with him. Wells Fargo EVP Tim Hanlon had a leadership conference. I think we were at the Kodak Theater, and there were three speakers: moi, Captain Kirk, and Mark Shriver, who is Maria Shriver's brother. And it was a philanthropy conference. And thanks to Tim Hanlon's secretary, she found me on the internet as a motivational speaker on life balance and happiness. And that's how I get to share a stage. And he said he remembered me, but I think he was just being nice. But I got a nice little flashing piece with him, and that was last night. But I digress. Happy birthday to not only my youngest daughter, but I understand that my co-host is having a birthday on Sunday as well. So you're going to have to join him on his show to wish him a happy birthday. Now, what time's your show?
Well, it's my good friend's show on Sunday. My show's on Tuesdays.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who's your good friend?
Fred Plumley.
Oh, Fred Plumley.
He's watching right now. Yeah. Say hi, Fred.
Hey, Fred. I know. I have to have him on. I tried, but every time I gave him a date, he's like, "No, I can't do it." So I gave up. So he's gonna have to pay me for that. But go to what time's Fred's show?
It's 9 to 11 on Sundays, p.m.
p.m. And my co-host Frank Pirolo will be there to accept your happy birthday congratulations. And so I am happy that we get to pre-announce that here. So much to celebrate. Alrighty, I am now ready to go. We have a very interesting topic because I picked it. It's actually part 2 of last week because we had so much fun on it. For those of you who forget what happened last week, as well as yesterday. Like me, I need a new external battery. It's the warning. It's the real C word again. Oh my God. Continuing last week's topic, I'm raising it by 2. Commitment phobia. Is it a gender difference? We did not talk about that part. Is it true that men, not all men, but many men, don't want to be tied down? And most women, many women do. Does this difference explain why most men have difficulty having long-term committed relationships? Or is it just a stereotype? So if you have any BS belief systems around this particular topic, please do come in and free subscribe at my YouTube channel where you can put in your 8 cents worth. So I'll start with you, Frank. When when I told you what we were talking about, you're like, oh, good. So why did you say, oh, good, instead of, oh, shiitake?
There's a lot of stereotypes about men and the dating world and relationships, and obviously every man's different. But I think if you look at how many men are married, it'll counter the point a little bit, because we claim we don't want to be tied down, but then we end up falling in love and getting married. That's what a good girl will do to you.
That's what a what?
A good girl will do to you. One of my closest friends, Esteban, I was best man at his wedding, and he went from party boy to married father in like 2 years. He's like completely changed. Not that he had any problem, like he wasn't like over the top party or doing anything bad, but he was totally like not a player, but like he was just having fun and met a nice girl, and it was all over.
It was all over.
It
sounds like such a, like it's a letdown, right? Instead of a positive thing.
It's definitely a positive thing. His wife Laura is wonderful. But it's just funny. It ended that chapter of Esteban's life. It started a whole new one.
That is so funny. Do you ever talk to him and say, "Hey, you missed the bad boy days"?
A little bit, but I know he's happy. I barely get to see him anymore because he has several kids now, and he's working, full-time job in a management position. And he went from, he was just DJing before while we were in college, and now he still has his entertainment company as well. But it was just kind of funny because like I never thought of him as the one who would settle down like first, and once you meet the one, I guess.
All right, that is usually the answer I get. I haven't met the one. When I used to date, I am in that runway ramping up towards it again. But since I've been single 6 years, 5 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, and an hour, but who's counting? I just put in the chat. I just put into Google my favorite person since Encyclopedia Britannica. I put in, let me go back there. I just put in, just so you know what my search things were. I said, do men really have, I don't know why I do this. Do men really have a phobia for commitment? That's all I put in there. And the first thing that popped up was 8 common fears that men have of making a commitment. Now, watch this. I put in that same question for women. And so I said, do women have commitment phobias? And what's interesting is the first thing that comes up is, while it's becoming clear that women have immense anxiety about commitment and are pushing back marriage every year, there is almost no information about our ambivalence. As a result, many of us feel completely alone, when in fact there are millions of us like that. So, and here, today.com says fear of commitment. It's loading nice and slow. Wait for it. Fear of commitment, it's now a women thing. So, whether or not it's true, it has been out there. So whether or not it's true, is that Al Roker? No. I got to meet Al, by the way, in New York. It was sad to hear about his health issues. Wonderful guy. We were at the book expo, and he had a children's book out, and I had my happiness book out. Anyways, I digress. So you can tell the more tired I get, the more tangents go on. Sorry, Frank, you're gonna have to
no problem.
But let's go back. Okay, so here's fear of commitment for a women's thing, but I want to go back to the men's. Why do you think men have a fear of commitment? And we'll see how it hits the 8 common fears that Psychology Today says. What do you think?
So I think men have a fear of. Oh, I'm sorry.
You said haven't met the right one. That's a common one.
But if they have met someone who potentially is the right one and they're afraid to commit, I think a lot of it is seeing relationships around them that were once, growing up or something that were once really strong deteriorate and then end will make them afraid that something will change. Also, just the sheer amount of men and women that cheat out there will make you nervous. I guess that I don't get to the point that people change over time. So it's hard to commit to something, even if it seems perfect in the moment, and it's been perfect, people change. And if you're afraid, to tie your entire life in, that your home, your finances, everything together, when you don't know, there's so much uncertainty moving forward. I think that's what scares people.
Okay. And that's definitely down further. I saw it's the fear of growing up. What you're talking about is making those, adult decisions, right? Mm-hmm. So they've got fear of rejection, fear of being controlled and smothered. And remind me to come back to that one. Fear of not being lovable, and that ties into that imposter syndrome that I've talked about before. I know on this series especially, you put out a good face, and Captain James Kirk. Why do I have a problem with his real name? William Shatner. He said yesterday in his film that we all wear masks, and like, who really are you? Right. So it speaks to that. Like, when I used to get a compliment and I'd say, thank you very much. And then my critic's voice would say, wow, they don't really know you. If they really knew you, they wouldn't like you. And that is definitely the fear of not being lovable, right? Pretending, feeling like you're pretending who you really are. Fear of not measuring up, not being as good as, similar. Fear of being found out. As a man gets closer to fear, he becomes exposed because he has to reveal fears or feelings that are unmanly or a shameful family secret. Interesting. Fear of trusting a woman. Okay. If the man had an erratic or manipulative mother and a history of being cheated on, used, or disappointed by women, he may have major trust issues. We talked about that, Frank, before. Remember the heartbrokenness. Fear of growing up, that's the one you referred to. And the last one is fear that he cannot make the right decision. So interesting, huh?
Yeah.
That is definitely the Frank, I have very little offer on this stuff. 30 years married, never quit a job, and I'm really bad at breaking habits. Well, Frank, I mean, Troy, that is actually very good to contribute because, stereotypes. Well, let me do this as a valuing diversity consultant, and I am one of my big accomplishments I'm very proud of is I was one of the first diversity consultants in Los Angeles and was part of the first bank. It was called First Interstate Bank, hired myself and a number of other consultants to work at developing valuing diversity for the first time. And then that led into developing a program that I got to do for Mattel, for Panasonic, for a number of corporations. And the biggest one was Los Angeles County, where I got to hit, I think, 55,000 employees. So that was a huge deal. And one of the big lessons, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to clip it out, because when I hear people say you're separating people by talking about group differences, and there's really no group difference, everybody's individual and everybody's special. Yes, that is true. We're all unique, one of a kind, wonderful, but do not tell me that there are not some things that are different between men and women. because it's going to the other extreme. When you say we all bleed and we're all human, yes, and because we're in different categories, we do have similar things. Now, stereotyping is taking that group difference and saying you cannot differ from that group difference or making that difference bad. That's a stereotype. But to not acknowledge group differences, I think, does ourselves a disservice. So I was struck. One of my favorite guests has been Dr. John Gray, who's a friend now, and just love him. Met his new wife, got to have a meal with him and my daughter Sarah up in San Francisco. He's the mega best-selling author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. So if you want to know the group differences, he is definitely one. He doesn't just spout it, he does research around it. All of his work is empirically based. And it is true. Men and women are very, very different when it comes to their BS belief systems around what they want when it comes to romance, relationships, and commitment. So if you follow his, and feminists are constantly having issues with this because, understandably, feminists have been trying to make it important that we are not weak. We are not, diminutive. We have power and strength and deserve equal pay. I'm all with you on that. However, to say that we are just like men and we have to act like men and we are, we think like men, we do ourselves a disservice. So one of the models that leads to the commitment issue is men are wired, when you look at genetics, right? If we follow Darwin, you don't even have to be a Darwin. You look at the way humanity has been shaped, and yes, we did have woolly mammoths, and yes, we were cavemen, and yes, that was dinosaurs, and the history, you see the bones and all that, that's not made up, right? So in those days, to procreate, right, to as much as possible so that we populate as a species allows men, the more the merrier, right? The more seeds I plant, the more. So my primary is hunt, right? Provide, procreate, let's do it. That's the hunter. Women are the ones that carry the child. So we're not the same. Our desire for stability is real. We want to have the man come home, seed us, grow the baby. I can just feel the feminists going, oh, including my daughters. But that was the genetics. Does that mean we are that way now? No. But if we look at that primary desire, it would make sense why that wanting the commitment versus not wanting the commitment might be the mismatch, right? For couples. Does that make sense, Frank?
Yes. Yeah, and I think people do need to acknowledge the differences between men and women, not because women are not any less equal in any right of intellect or, I fully believe women are every bit as competent and capable of being productive humans, but we have physical differences and we have differences in our hormones and stuff that make us totally, not totally, but it makes us different from each other. So, like you were saying, our instincts can be a little different. I have noticed, it seems like everyone's starting to get married less. Have you heard that? I haven't seen the statistics lately, but I think women are starting to get fed up with us. And they're starting to not want to get married too, which is, I don't know, kind of alarming for someone who's a wedding DJ, but
Well, you could start a divorce DJ.
Divorce parties, call me up.
Hey,
Lakeside DJ services.
Bad idea, actually, Frank. Because it goes with my thing around when you're divorcing, does it really have to be a war or a battle? Can we say it's just not a match and then have a party to celebrate the end of that chapter and the beginning of the next chapter? You heard it here. All right. Both the marriage and divorce rates of U.S. women age 15 and older declined 2011 to 2021. In 2021, the U.S. marriage rate was 14.9%, or 14.9 marriages in the last year per 1,000 women, down from 16.3 a decade earlier. And that actually is low. Even the interesting. Let's see. Almost 90% of the world population now live in countries with falling marriage rates. In the U.S., marriage has declined by 60% since the 70s. Wow. While the median age for first marriages has increased for both men and women. Wow. U.S. marriage rate falls nearly 60% over the past 50 years. That's interesting. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not falling, it's plummeting according to Spectrum One. Wow, 70. Look at this. The marriage rate in 1970 was 76.5, which is what I expected to hear. Today, it stands at just over 31%. The groups seeing the biggest decline in people getting married include Hispanic and Black women. The number of Hispanic women getting married went down 33%, and the number of Black women getting married dropped 60% over the last 50 years. Interesting. A lot of my clients are like, if I get married in the future, that's fine, but I just want to be with somebody that wants to do the same things I like to do, says Vanessa Cecilia with It's Just Lunch, a professional matchmaking company. So that's one of their reasons, according to the research there, that it's not necessarily people aren't coupling up, but they are just not getting married, not seeing the value of marriage. Well, okay, so I want to go to Troy has he's referring to the article that I flashed up first, 8 reasons why men are afraid of commitment. The one was what was the fear of, trusting women. That was it, the fear of trusting women. And it said that men who've had controlling and manipulative moms or girlfriends who cheated on them are less likely to want to commit. And Troy is validating that particular point. My mom was very domineering. Every girl I ever dated cheated on me, and I was very upfront with my now wife that I'm going to have trust issues as a result. So thanks for being vulnerable and honest with that, Troy. I'm going to ask you a couple questions if you don't mind, because I'm an investigative broadcast journalist. So you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But I find this fascinating because I used to have this viewpoint or BS belief system that if someone cheated on you, there was just no getting over that, and that person was bad, and that person was, someone, a bad person. And as I've grown and understand the power of the law of attraction and the power of how we attract people based on what we're thinking, what we're believing, and where we are, and myself as the primary example of how I'm one of the 7 out of 10 of us who had childhood trauma. And based on what you're saying, Troy, you had childhood trauma. If you have a mom who are supposed to be your biggest fan and think that you're beautiful and handsome and you can do no wrong with the traditional BS belief system about moms, the fact that she wasn't that way, as well as my mom, that's trauma. And so I took that trauma, as many of us do, and I attracted a man who was also in trauma and also further proved that I was not lovable, that I was not desirable, that I was fat, ugly, and clumsy. So when you said that was your mom, domineering and all of that, and then you attract, is it possible that every single woman that cheated on you, as you've said in your history, you had some attraction factor? And I'm not saying this to blame you, but I am saying this because a lot of us don't realize that we attract people where we are. So when I coach women who want a relationship and they come to me and say, every single person has betrayed me or cheated on me, I don't do it right away. We establish some things, but usually when we go back and we find that hurt part of us and we heal that, the understanding is now that every time it happens. So my guess is with your wife now that you've been with 31 years is you did some healing in that. So it's not that you just met the most wonderful person, which I'm sure you did, but that you did some work on yourself is my guess, so that you attracted someone who wasn't doing or trying to also heal themselves by cheating, because nobody cheats because they think they're a good person. Right? You cheat because you're not feeling good about something, usually yourself. Okay, let me see what you said here. Oh, you haven't said anything. Okay, so mull over that one and tell me if I'm like completely off my rocker. And Frank, I know you're doing a little work over there. Someone must have called in. What do you think about what I just pontificated on?
About cheating? Yeah. So I don't think, like, first off, I'm not a fan of cheating, obviously, but I think there are situations that arise, particularly in very long-term relationships that have kids, where cheating becomes more, where people who would never normally think they're going to cheat or be that type of person end up doing it because they're afraid of stepping out of that relationship and destroying their family. But they're not getting either the emotional or physical support they need, and they end up doing that. That's when it becomes less of when it becomes more of a deep-rooted issue than just like, oh, this person at the bar wanted to hook up with me. Because like there are a lot of people I think that would never believe they would do something like that, but end up doing that.
Very good point. Very, very good point. Troy is responding now. Okay, yes, there's no doubt I chose wisely. You're right. We were both very open about what we've been through, and we vowed to be the safe haven for each other. Now, that wouldn't happen had you not done some work around that and been vulnerable and also done some healing with respect to, I always say that parents do the very best they can. Most of the time, they are learning from people who did the very best that they can. I spent not a lifetime, but many, many horrifically sad and anguished years of my life blaming my mom for all of the dis-ease I had with myself, when in actual fact, now I wouldn't have it any other way, because all of that chiseling made me into who I am. But I found out when my father was dying of lymphoma in a weak moment, my mom actually admitted that her upbringing and what her mom did to her, this is kind of a sad story. I don't know if I've said this before, Frank, you'll have to remind me. I don't think Troy's heard it. But I asked my mom, why is it that when I was young, all I remember is you yelling at me? I didn't say beating me. I just said yelling at me and punishing me, or, correcting me. I said it that way. And she said, well, when I was a kid, my mom would punish us once a week before bath time. They grew up in rural China, very, very poor. And so she said, I never knew why I was being punished. So I promised myself that when I had a daughter, she would know why she was being punished. So in her mind, she actually thought she was improving the way that she was raised. And that's why I'm saying, you know, our only job is just to do a little bit better than, you know, what was done to us. And I don't think it is fair to judge our parents, our mothers, our fathers against a standard that society puts in front of us that says moms, you know, the perfect mom and the perfect dad. Every single person is a product of their primary role model and genetics. So, you know, when I do, you know, happiness coaching, I had a choice. Let me just put it this way. I had a choice. I could blame my mom for the rest of my life and remain in that place of I got hurt and it's their fault. Blame, shame. Or I could say that she did the best that she could. And all of that pain and all of that shiitake served as fertilizer to growing me into who I am. Now that is a specific choice. You don't have to drink my Kool-Aid, but I guarantee you, if you don't drink my Kool-Aid and stay where I was and continue that, you're not going to be happy 88% of the time. And I'll have clients say, yeah, but I don't talk to her. I don't see her. She's out of my life. I don't have to deal with her. And I say, well, you don't think you have to, but in here, you know, the opposite of hate is not love. The opposite of hate is indifference. So when you can be and talk about what happened to you in a very untriggered way, that's when you know. Most of the time, not 100% of the time, we're human, we get triggered. But if you can get through that quickly, then that is the sign of healing. But I digress. Let's go back to the topic. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering what I am soapboxing about, we are talking about commitment today on Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Frank Pirolo,
my co-host, and we are on KCAA AM 1050 FM 106.5 and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where if you free subscribe, as Troy will tell you, you get an alert every 9 a.m. right after the NBC News. You will get the Asian Oprah. And what she is talking about today's series, we are talking about differences between men and women, which we have established is not a stereotype. It's actually a group difference. Nothing wrong with talking about it. And that we are changing. And women now are also not that thrilled about getting married and being committed necessarily. And what's the downside of that?
The downside.
Because you said, wow, like that's really kind of sad. Why is that sad? And I'm not challenging you, because definitely one of the downsides, and I'll just offer it up, is the nuclear family that religion has drilled into us is the perfect way to raise a family, and you shouldn't get divorced, and you shouldn't have a mixed family, and you shouldn't have a blended family, and you shouldn't have step this or half that in terms of siblings. And you know, that's a sin, or that bullshit talking, by the way. It's not a sin. It is just what it is. Okay. And if you have children who are going through a divorce and people are trying to shame you, just don't listen. Okay. Is it ideal? No. But is staying in a marriage where the children are watching you walk on eggshells, not be happy, not be demonstrating what a good relationship is, you think that's any better? No. So, all of that religious dogma, shame, blame, sin-based talk, I am not for it at all. But there is the reality that divorce is one of those things that will affect your child. And do I feel guilty about that with my children? 100% no. I live with no regrets. Do I do everything possible to give them the tools? Yes, I enrolled them in Kids First. Chapman University has a great program for kids going through a divorce to give them some tools to be able to communicate, to feel that it isn't personal. Do my kids talk and I talk about it? Not that much, because it pains them to talk about it. So I respect that about them. Do they think that we should have stayed together? Absolutely not. The older they get, the more they realize, that was really not a good match to stay in, right? It was a great match to have them, and I have no regrets on that. So there's a little bit about, right, wrong, good, bad, and religious dogma. Drop it. Frank, did I just bore you with that?
No. No.
Frank's also going, oh, wait.
You
Go ahead.
You hit the nail on the head with that, basically by saying that, divorce, well, obviously it shouldn't be considered some sort of horrible sin, because sometimes it's absolutely necessary. Sometimes, a couple can work out their problems. Other times it's just not, it's beyond that. A lot of times it's been beyond that before they even got married, but they still got married for whatever reason. And then especially if you get into terms of like, I'm not saying this was your relationship, but if you get into terms of like an abusive relationship, people will get guilted into like, or they'll feel like they're doing God wrong or something by getting out of it. And that's how people end up getting, hurt or, dead. It really can be necessary. As sad as it is, when a relationship you thought was going to be forever doesn't end up being forever, sometimes it's necessary. And I think that's a big part of what scares people out of getting into it in the first place. Is I think everyone's seen a relationship around them, at least 5 relationships around them that have gone super south, for whatever reason, that seemed at one point like it was going to be forever, looking from the outside. And so I think that's a big part of why people are afraid of commitment.
Yeah, for sure. Troy put something great up here. Humans are meant to be social animals. We need to know how to love and care in a family relationship if we want to have good relationships anywhere else. Going your own way coarsens society overall. And that is a BS belief system that is true especially when there's people who say, I can live on a desert island by myself, F you, F people. And it's one of those reasons why mental health matters, right? My Monday series, we may think that we don't need people. We may think that we can live, on our own, don't need. And again, I was quite impressed with William Shatner's short film because, actually it's not short, but he talks about loneliness. And Troy, this is a must-see, especially for you, because he had a mom the same way as you said. And he didn't have that relationship with his mom. And he does say that deep, dark sense of loneliness that he's had all of his life, he can find its roots in that coping mechanism. Like loneliness is almost like a coping mechanism to the isolation that he felt from his mom. And let's see, I don't mean that as a value judgment. I'm talking about the ideal goal. Absolutely. And I didn't react to it as a value judgment as well, because I think you're absolutely right. And those of us, and I'll take this to a personal level, I am one of those people that sometimes will think like, why haven't I dated for this long? Because I do everything once: marriage, divorce, and having a relationship requires, it's a whole different mindset where I have to see the value in what you're talking about, that social interaction. Would I like to have someone who knows me good, bad, and ugly and chooses to be with me and knows when to say, oh, honey, I'm so sorry that happened, and when to say, I know you got this, right? It's going to take a pretty strong individual to not step on dynamite with a lot of the things that I have developed as coping mechanisms. And maybe I'm just trying to spare that person by not getting involved. I don't know. But anyways, Frank, I've done most of the talking this show. Is there anything that you want to say, since you just gave me the 4-minute warning?
I think there are a lot of reasons that for men and women to be afraid to commit. I think overall women are still more likely to want a committed relationship over men. And I think whether or not, a committed relationship is right for a specific person or a specific couple is very dynamic and can change or be it depends on the person and the match that is in question. So
yeah, good point. My final word is, if you are experiencing the gender differences around commitment, and I got this yesterday from Abraham Hicks' Law of Attraction teaching, your relationship will never be successful if you focus on the things that are not right in the relationship versus focusing on the things that are right. So if you're a woman and you're constantly thinking about why he hasn't said I love you, or why he is not asking you for wedding vows, then you're not going to be happy in that relationship. If you instead focus on things that he is doing that you like, whatever it is, taking you out, asking how you are, expressing appreciation, all of those things, your relationship will be better. Men, if you are focusing on the fact that your woman is constantly talking about wanting to get married and how she's she just can't stop pestering you, you're not going to have a good relationship. But instead, if you say, I want to, isn't it great how she wants to be with me? You're going to have a much better relationship. And that is my final Happy 88 tool. If you'd like more on relationships and want to do it on a personal level, go to drmarissa.life. Happy to do some personal happiness and relationship coaching. We're at the end of the show. Meet me at the Catalina Jazz Festival this weekend. I'm covering at my Keiko Matsui Fabulous Twin Sisters performing on Friday night. I don't have any more passes to offer. They all got taken, but keep it here for always. More giveaways. Tomorrow is straight Tempting Conversations with Alon Carter, the daughter of Otis Williams, the founder of The Temptations. And I will also on Monday be having my interview with Winnie's son. She is, I found out, a fan of mine. I didn't know. She's the wealth whisperer, and I got to go. It's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Troy.